Vajnanatirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurminatanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we're continuing with our Śaraṇāgati study group. Some Zoom update problem, huh?
Yeah, I think I don't know, it did open at all actually. And it just like, now I'm just trying to share the screen.
Hmm.
Where is it? Can't find that either. Sorry.
No problem, Didi.
Okay, I don't know where it is now.
I can try and do it too, Didi.
Okay, yeah, if we can do it today, yeah. Just right.
Let me see here. So we are on, let me see, I'll just open it from, where should I open it from? Open it from Krishna search, maybe. Well, no, it's better to have the PDF, isn't it? But I didn't have to download it. I'm just going to do it from Krishna search. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Something in the stars today. I was having trouble too with some technological issue. Okay, so I'm opening Śaraṇāgati and what's that noise? Oh, okay. Perfect. Okay, so I'll do a screen share. Go back to our Zoom. Oh, so I'll need to be a co-host so I can screen share. Can you make me a co-host, Didi? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have Śaraṇāgati here, and we are we still going through the first song?
Yes, yeah, we're on the first song.
That's right, we came right to the end, didn't we?
Yeah, I think the last two verses probably we need to go through.
Okay.
We also were going to listen to the song, right? You said you will play.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play it from the phone because I haven't been able to sort out the audio on the laptop here. So okay. So maybe we'll finish going through the verses and then we'll listen afterwards.
Yes, yeah. I think
so did we finish going through verse number 5? I think we came to this Prarthana Shune, perhaps?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Okay, so we're going through this first introductory song, the Śaraṇāgati songbook. And as I mentioned before, this is a song that we generally sing every morning in our temples. And so we're here on this verse number 5. Shadanga Śaraṇāgati Hoibe Jahar Tahara Prarthana Śrīnanda Kumar. Śrīnanda Kumar hears the prayers of one who surrenders in the sixfold way. And we came to this line here, Prarthana Śrīnanda Kumar hears their prayers. This means Krishna reciprocates with the surrendered souls in accordance with their prayers. And then there's this beautiful expression of Lord Ramachandra, this vow that he makes. Sakrid eva papano yastavas mitita yachite abhayam sarvara tasma didamyata yatamama. Anyone who even once sincerely surrenders unto me, declaring I am yours and praise the fearlessness, it is my vow that I will always grant that to them. So this is the Lord's strong declaration, an assertion of his mercy. And as I mentioned I believe I mentioned last time, someone asked our Gurudev once, like, who does this actually apply to? Is this only for a few, like, very special, elevated souls? And our Gurudev said this applies to everyone, speaking about this verse, that if anyone in one moment in their lives makes that sincere approach to the Lord for shelter, this is his promise that he will protect them. And of course, that protection, that is referring to the highest type of protection, right? Spiritual protection, not necessarily material protection. Protection from misconception, protection from illusion, protection from forgetfulness, right? That is the greatest danger, forgetfulness of the Lord, to lose faith in the Lord. That is the greatest danger. So then now these last two verses, Rupa Sanatana Pada Dante Trina Kodi Bhakti Vinoda Pada Pada Doda. Bhakti Vinod places a straw between his between his teeth, and falls before Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhu and Srila Sanatana Goswami Prabhu, clasping their feet. And we have in the commentary, Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami are the two acharyas who teach Śaraṇāgati. And in there, we can also add here, in their writings, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, they have expounded upon this topic. And particularly Sanatana Goswami, he's discussed this topic and collected many verses from the scriptures, which are discussing the topic of Śaraṇāgati. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj also mentions this in his introduction to Prakana Jivanamrita, right, which is also going into Śaraṇāgati, expressing appreciation to Sanatana Goswami, who already went to much trouble in collecting verses from the scriptures on this topic. Kadiya kadiya bole amito nam shikaye Śaraṇāgati korohe tam. Crying incessantly, he prays, I am so lowly. Please elevate me by teaching me Śaraṇāgati. And, we can mention here, what's being shown, demonstrated is this beautiful mood in the Vaishnavas of appreciating other Vaishnavas, right? The mood of the true devotees is, sometimes we hear this expression, right? Das anu das, it means servant of the servants. The more one's appreciation for this ideal of life increases, the more they will appreciate anyone who has any connection, right? And the more there will be appreciation of those who are already approaching the Lord, those who already have a relationship with the Lord, right? The appreciation will kind of begin to expand. The more our appreciation grows, the more it will be like beyond just the Lord himself, right? It's not just isolated, Krishna or Mahaprabhu or even just Guru, right? But the more we'll have appreciation for all the relationships, right? And all of the great souls who have a connection with the Lord. And so here, Bhaktivinoda Thakur specifically expressing appreciation for these great Vaishnava saints, right? Rupa and Sanatana. And we can also mention, it's a good hallmark of making progress, right? That your capacity to appreciate, your appreciation for the value, for the worth, for the contribution of other Vaishnavas, it will increase, and not only for the great, saints of ancient times, or the Maha Bhagavat, great exalted Vaishnavas, but those who we meet in our daily lives, right? To see how everyone is making progress in some way in their relationship towards divinity. The more that our Krishna consciousness increases, the more that we'll appreciate the Krishna consciousness of others. Our Gurudev, he made this very beautiful comment once about how, like, it was something like along these lines, as we grow, in our Krishna consciousness, we'll see more and more how the holy name is playing in the hearts of the devotees. And he's speaking about the general devotees, anyone who's accepted a relationship, who's been accepted in any capacity, right? As a student in this school, who's made a connection with the pure guru, like how they all have a relationship with the holy name. That holy name is playing in their heart. And then to see how that is playing out, how everyone has a living relationship. The holy name is dancing in their heart. The Lord has entered their lives. And as our spiritual vision develops, we'll be able to perceive that more and more, right? Look past the material characteristics. We came across in our reading of our Gurudev's book, Revealed Truth, the other day, where our Gurudev was quoting this verse of Rupa Goswami and Upadeshamrita. It's maybe the 6th verse. Drishte svabhava janite vapushashta dosha napahuta dhammi bhakta janasya pasya gangam basam akalu janakalu brahmadrivatram apagacha kulila dharma. And this verse is it gives this analogy of how the Ganges water is polluted. Materially speaking, the Ganges water is polluted, right? With, various types of pollution. We won't go into the details. But one with spiritual vision can see past that, they'll see that, oh, this is the spiritual quality is pure, is fully present. And so in the same way, Rupa Goswami is saying the Vaishnavas, the practicing Vaishnavas, they may be covered by some material contamination, right? Because of their particular background, right? Particular culture, life experience, right? They have some layer of mundanity on them. But with spiritual vision, we should try to look past that and recognize their spiritual quality. This is actually the main, most important qualification of a Vaishnava, their capacity to appreciate the Vaishnavata, right? This is a helpful word, Vaishnavata, the quality of being a Vaishnava. And the more that our own Vaishnavata increases, the more we'll be able to recognize that in others. And so here, we see Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's specifically expressing appreciation. He's falling at the feet in this very humble way. It sounds a bit odd, like the straw on the tea. This is like a Vedic tradition, a sign of humility, because the grass is at our feet, right? So it's like a symbol of extreme humility. I'm taking what is normally under everyone's feet, putting that in my mouth, and I'm putting my head, the height of topmost part of my existence, at the lowest part of your existence. So it's a symbol of extreme humility. And in this very heartfelt way, crying, please, Koro he utama, please elevate me, please uplift me. How? Shikaya Śaraṇāgati, instructed me in Śaraṇāgati. Show me how can I surrender and thereby perfect existence. So we'll read this commentary, this Srila Sridhar's commentary, Uttama, elevated. This refers to one who is qualified for the topmost form of devotion, prema bhakti. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna says, Agyayaivam gunandoshan mayajishtan apisakam dharman santyajaya sarvam mambajet sachasatanha. Realizing the qualities and faults of the socio-religious system, Varnashram Dharma, which I've instituted, one who completely abandons it and serves me is the best of all sadhus. So some of you may recall in one of our recent meetings that we went through, in an earlier comment of Srila Sridhar, he references one of his own verses that's originally published in Prapana Jivanamrita, this Bhagavad Bhakti Ta Sarvam Ityuchi Javidera Kain Karyam Krishna Padaka Shayatvam Śaraṇāgati. I believe it's just up here. But I think it's right here. Yeah, here it is. So this is like a nutshell verse Srila Maharaj composed describing very concisely what are the main characteristics of Śaraṇāgati. And one of them is like, if necessary, to abandon subservience to even scriptural injunctions, right? Like to come to that stage of faith in the Lord where you're ready to step over the external formalities, right? Because you're entering into a personal, living, loving relationship, and it's going beyond the letter of the law, right? But what is the real spirit of the law? That's a more refined understanding, right? So this is also, this same idea is what's mentioned in that Bhagavatam verse. And one very simple and friendly example, which I often give to illustrate this concept, is that occasion. Many of you are familiar with this pastime when Krishna, Balaram, they're playing with the cowherd boys in the forest, and they become hungry, and so they send some of the cowherd boys. There's some Brahmins nearby performing a grand yajna, fire sacrifice, and so they send them to, there's always some prasadam involved, some nice food involved in these fire sacrifices. And so they send them, please see if there's any prasadam for us. And we're so hungry. And so the boys go, and they're humbly, these little boys requesting, these big proud Brahmins, doing all their mantras and offering oblations into the fire. Please, Krishna and Balaram are nearby, they're very hungry. Please, will you give us something to eat? But those Brahmins, they're very proud and very absorbed in their strict, ritualistic activities and performing the fire sacrifice, and they just ignore these silly little cowherd boys, right? And they carry on with their grand yajna, and they just ignore them. And so then those boys, they go back to Krishna and Balaram. Oh no, they wouldn't give us anything. So Krishna tells them, go to their wives, they'll give you something. And these women, they're all in love with Krishna. They haven't met him, but they've heard about him. And just by hearing about him, they're already in love with him. And this is like the opportunity of a lifetime, right? And so they all rush to gather up all these wonderful food offerings and bring to Krishna. But later on, those Brahmins, they realize the folly of their ways, and they rebuke themselves, like, oh, we were so absorbed in our ritualistic activity, the Supreme Lord himself came to us and we ignored that, right? So this is one of the dangers, one of the deviations that can come up, where we get so, for us Westerners, it's not so much of a problem. We usually can't get it together too much. But it can come up, right, in certain occasions, when you have to overlook, like, what is the particular ritual or rule, and understand what's the real spirit of things, and understand when it's, what's more living, right, and when we have to make some adjustment in order to actually carry out the real service, right? So yes, this is one of the principles of Śaraṇāgati. Okay, so we're going to play this recording. And by the way, for this next song, I actually have a recording of Gurudev singing this song, this Bulia Tomanas. We can play Gurudev for the next one. That'll be nice. Okay, so we're gonna play just gonna play it from the phone here. And by the way, in our temples, it is customary, we'll chant the Panchatattva before we sing this song, because it's a prayer to Mahaprabhu and his associates. Can you hear that?
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes it's not there, but yes.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Vive daya kori Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Vive daya Parshad Shriya Dhama Sahaya Bhatori অত্যন্ত দুর্লভ প্রেম পরিবারে দানা শিখায় শরণাগতি ভক্তের প্রাণ ধন্য আত্মনিবেদন ভক্তিতে বরণ অবসর রাখিবেন কৃষ্ণ বিশ্বাস পালন ভক্তির অনুকূল মাতের কার্যের শিকার ভক্তির অনুকূল ভক্তি প্রতি কুল ভাব ভজন অঙ্গীকার অরঙ্গ শরণাগতি হইবে যাহার আহার প্রার্থনা শুনে নন্দ কুমার রূপসনা তন পদে দন্তে তিন করি ঠাকুর ভক্তি বিষ্ণদা পরে বিপদ ধরি কাদিয়া কাদিয়া বলে আমি তো শিখায় শরণাগতি কর হে উত্তম।
Okay. So I'm going to play this Bulia Tomade now. Let me see. I want to play the recording of my husband Gurudev. It's on jayashri.com, jayashri.org. How do you open the browser? Can you open up jayashri.org? This is a very heartrending song, this next one that we've come to. Forgetting you. This phrase is just like a knife in the heart. I forgot you. Bulia is forgetting. I forgot you. Addressing the Lord. Okay? And we can also mention, in Bengali, there are 3 different ways of addressing people. There's the formal, respectful, then there's like close, and then there's like very, very, how you might refer to like a child or something. And we see in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's writings, he's always referring to the Lord in this closer, intimate way, right? So this Tomade, this is an intimate way of addressing the Lord, which is not what you might expect, right? You'd think it might be the more respectful way, but it's always this close, because in one song, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is expressing Mahaprabhu's mood, like, I'm your best friend. Ami bina bandhu ar. Okay, other than myself, who is your friend? Right? I'm your best friend. So there's this intimacy, that will be felt in the heart of the devotee as they're developing in their relationship with the Lord. Okay, so I'm going to play this Bulia Tomade. It's sung by our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj. It's coming. Oh, it's not coming. Okay. It's quite an old recording. It's like from 89 or something. Yeah, December 89. Can you hear okay? No,
No.
no, huh? Not clear enough. Okay. Okay, for next week, I'll make sure we get our sound sorted out and we'll play it from the laptop directly. So we'll just read it this week. Okay, so we are beginning our second song of Śaraṇāgati. And so we can also mention here that this is actually kind of like the beginning of this book now. We've actually now officially reached the beginning. Because that first song is like an invocation, a song of invocation. We went through many invocations. This is the Vaishnava mood. Like there's so much caution, right? There's a beginning before the beginning, before the beginning, before the beginning. So now this is the beginning. And we can also mention here that, so 6 limbs of Śaraṇāgati, right? And there are different ways in which the order is presented. And there's one way, which seems to be more standard, that's mentioned in the scriptures. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj follows that way in his book, Prapana Jivanamrita. Can you pass me a copy of that, please? But Bhaktivinoda Thakur, very interestingly, and so by the way, this is, for those of you who don't know this book, Prapana Jivanamrita, this is the book I keep mentioning. This is an incredible book. It is the book of all books. And this is Srila Sridhar Maharaj's masterpiece. Highly recommended. And especially, you know, as an accompaniment to Śaraṇāgati. So this is about Śaraṇāgati also. And so in this book, Srila Sridhar Maharaj follows the more standard order of these 6 limbs of Śaraṇāgati, which is mentioned in these previous pages. Anukul yasya sankalpa, particularly acceptance of the favorable, rejection of the favorable, and so on. But interestingly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur he has a different order in his songbook. All the same limbs are described, but the order is different. And there's also some purpose there. So he chooses to put humility first. And you know, and this is all with purpose. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, in one of his talks, he's discussing this point, and he's explaining, you know, this particular order that Bhaktivinoda Thakur chose. And what he points out is that humility is the first mood. Like when we're making an approach towards the Lord, towards the saints, humility is the first mood. You can't get anywhere without first having some humility, right? So in order to approach shelter, in order to approach some guidance from a higher source, you have to first feel that you're lacking in some way, right? So the first feeling is actually humility, like in a substantial sense, right? In the sense of our own inner evolution of the heart, humility is the first stage. And of course, humility is also something that will carry us all the way through, and it will just be building, right? Developing more and more. And there's so much more to say on that topic, but I won't go down that route too much. We can talk more on that another time. So in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's order, humility is first, and the second is Atma Nivedan, full self-surrender. And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj points out, like before you approach shelter, before you can give yourself, first there will be that humility in your heart, and that will move you to give yourself to that higher shelter. So now we've reached like kind of like the official beginning of the book, Dvainyatmika, humility. And this is the first song here. And everything's carefully thought out. And we can also mention, right, that there are different forms of humility. And let me see here how it develops. But like on kind of like a very basic level, we can feel humility just by having some honest assessment of our condition, right? So that's humility born out of Sambandha Gyan, right? Sambandha Gyan. knowledge of what's what, like what's our actual condition, what's the actual nature of the environment around us, what's our actual relationship with the Lord, with the environment. So just by having like a clear understanding of our situation, this will give us some humility. So that's kind of humility on a basic level, more or less where we are. And then there's a higher type of humility, spiritual, like real divine humility that is born out of feeling our relationship with the Lord. Right? And at our own level, we may get some, we're experiencing that on some level, in some way. But as one develops in their devotional mood, then, that's how we can understand some of the expressions of the great Vaishnava saints. They express the most extreme humility, and they're perfected souls. But that's because they're feeling this deep relationship with the Lord. And feeling that, they're feeling this smallness beside that. And then what's interesting is that in the other order of the limbs of Śaraṇāgati, so humility is put as the last quality. And I was just kind of skimming through these songs, and I see Bhaktivinoda Thakur is not going to such an elevated level here in this section. In later parts of the book, he does. But you see what's very interesting in Srila Sridhar Maharaj's Prapana Jivanamrita. So he's going into humility in the last section, right? And there's also a gradation there where he's showing these different types of humility. And in the last verses of the chapter, he's presenting these very like fine sentiments of humility and divine love, and very like fine elevated expressions, coming from the gopis, Krishna's beloveds in Vrindavan. So there are different levels of humility, and in this song, and perhaps in more or less in all of these songs, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is keeping it on this level of realizing our human condition. Right? Okay, so here we are. Bulia tomare samsare asya pena navavyata tomara charane asya chiam boli bodhike. Forgetting you and coming to the material world, I've undergone all sorts of suffering. Now I have come before your feet and will express my tale of distress. I'm sorry, I was getting a bit overexcited about things. I forgot to open up the floor for anyone else who'd like to say anything. So Vasini, did you want to express anything about the previous song or anything at all?
No, everything what you said is perfect. Very nice. Yeah, I don't have anything to add.
Or anyone else want to share a comment or has a question or anything at all? And we do have at least one person who's kind of new. Julian is one of our new brothers. I don't know if you have any questions on anything. In this meeting, we kind of tend to go in a little bit deeper on things, so it's not so beginner friendly. So if you have any questions, please don't be shy.
Yeah, I'm just kind of soaking it all in,
Okay. That's the best way, and you work things out as you go along,
Yeah. Putting all the
Okay,
scriptures together.
Well, anyway, feel free to to raise your hand at any point.
Okay, gotcha.
So wow, I mean, this verse just says it all, man. I forgot you. I mean, that's the name of the book, right? We can just call that story of my life, right? I forgot you. I forgot you, my Lord. And what happened? Pain and all I got in return was trouble. I forgot you and I put myself into all kinds of trouble. And now I'm dragging myself in front of you. I'm telling you my sorry tale, my sad story. Story of our lives. It's expressing such a heart-rending sentiment. This naked, naked position, putting ourselves in this naked position for the Lord. This stark awareness, right, of what is our condition. I took myself away from you, and now I'm bringing myself back. What I've been through. So look here at Srila Maharaj's commentary. Forgetting you, I've undergone all sorts of suffering. Undergoing the miseries of material existence is the result of forgetfulness of the Lord. This is described in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adya Leela, and Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, these are two particularly important verses. Particularly this Bhagavatam verse is a very key verse that's coming up. And then this Chaitanya Charitamrita verse is more or less a simplified Bengali, like concise rendering of that verse. So this is the Bengali rendering of it. Krishna Buli Se Jivanadi Bahirmu Gateva Maya Talide Samsarani Du. When a soul outside the realm of time and space and the Tatasta Shakti turns away from Krishna and forgets him, Maya subjects him to the various miseries of worldly existence. And now this is a very key verse. This is the original, like Bhagavatam, ancient Sanskrit shloka. And you'll see Srila Sridhar Maharaj quotes this verse quite a lot. It's like in the writings of our acharyas, it's a very important reference point. And there's some amazing talks of Srila Sridhar Maharaj where he's talking about this verse. I mean, like, there are so many commentaries on this verse, and there's also like lots of discussion on different subtle ways in which it can be interpreted, which I'm not qualified to go into, but just so you know, it's out there. It's an important one. So this is the verse. Mayam dvitiya biniveshata syad ishadape tasya viparya smrit tanmayayato buddhabhajatam bhaktyayika yesham gurudeva tatma. In fact, we actually have an article from our Gurudev where he's discussing just one of the phrases in this verse, and maybe we can go to that next week. It's a beautiful article, translated originally in Bengali. Maybe next week we can look at that. So by the influence of the Lord's Maya, the Lord's illusory energy, those who are intent upon selfish enjoyment and turn away from the Lord, forget the Lord, consider themselves to be the opposite of their true self and become stricken with fear. Thus the wise should serve the Lord with unalloyed devotion, considering Sri Guru to be non-different from the Lord and most beloved. So there's so many layers of meaning here. And now this first line, Srila Sridhar Maharaj has particularly expounded upon. What it's saying here, like if you just take this first line in an isolated way, it says fear arises, this word syat, this is referring to like arising, when dvitiya means second, two. Abhinivesh means like absorbed in. So fear arises from an awareness of something second. Right? In other words, there's only one truth. There's only one reality. That's Krishna's reality. There's one channel. It's the Krishna channel. There's one director. There's one main character. That's Krishna, right? But as soon as we perceive something outside of that, we put ourselves, then that's fear is what arises out of that. That's what puts us under the influence of Maya. But here, this is what's being focused on by fear, anxiety. This is the source of all anxiety, the source of all fear. Perception of secondary interest, self-interest. And one way Srila Sridhar Maharaj explains it very beautifully is lack of guardian consciousness. Lack of guardian consciousness. We're concocting our own reality outside of the realm of our guardian. And naturally, we're pitting ourselves like against the world and the natural flow of things. So naturally, we're in fear. Right? We've concocted our own version of reality in which we're in the center, right? And because we're navigating a world where everyone else has also concocted their own reality, we're there in the center. You know, we're all living in this fear that others don't accept our supreme authority. Everyone's the main character in their story. And so naturally, we're always threatening one another because not everyone agrees with our version of the story, right? So there's this fear, there's this anxiety in the background all the time, right? We always have to like watch our back, look out for ourselves, right? Because no one else is gonna, right? But when we're living in this like broad consciousness, the Lord is behind everything. Then there's no need we don't have to protect ourselves, right? The Lord is behind everything. There's no need. There's one talk where Srila Sridhar Maharaj is talking about this, and he says, the sky is your shelter. Mm-hmm. You don't need to go and make some construction, right? Like we do in so many ways in our daily lives, right? But embrace the skies. Like different circumstances are coming to us and we're trying to protect ourselves, shield ourselves in different ways, instead of realizing actually this situation is my shelter, right? The Lord is approaching me through this. Okay, it may be a little uncomfortable, but I created that actually, because I was stepping outside of the Lord's interest. So now I've created this, and now the reaction is coming, not as just a cruel punishment, but to correct me. So let me embrace this correction. Let me see this as my shelter. Right? As a very extreme example, where we hear this story of Maharaj Bharat, right? He goes through all these different stages in his journey, and then there's this chronicle in Srimad Bhagavatam of these different births that he goes through, and then at one point he reaches one birth as a Brahmin, like a kind of a poor Brahmin family, and because of everything he went through in his previous births and the mistakes that he made, he's afraid of like losing remembrance of the Lord, and so he kind of pretends to be kind of like dumb. Right? He barely speaks and is very, very simple in his dealings, and so all his family and acquaintances think he's just an idiot. And there's this one occasion he actually gets kidnapped by these men. They're worshippers of the goddess Kali, and they want to make a human sacrifice, and I think he's an easy victim because he's just an idiot, And this Jada Bharat, he's known in that birth. He just goes along with it, He's just accepting this is the circumstance that has come to me, and he's living in this very broad consciousness, seeing the Lord's presence everywhere, and these men get to the point of like tying him up. They're ready to like slice his neck, and then at that point, this deity of Mother Kali, she can recognize this is a great devotee of Vishnu, and she's a servant of Vishnu. So she becomes, the deity becomes animated, and she kills those men, and she protects this great devotee. Of course, we can't imitate. That is another point. We don't imitate persons of such high faith, but this is the principle. And in our own way, at least theoretically, we're trying to see our environment, through that lens. So the more that we can, you know, see how the Lord's presence is within our lives, and there's no accidents, right? No chaos, all cosmos, Shivamaj comments. The more there will be this automatic peace, right? That comes into our hearts, that comes into our lives. Everything is for the Lord. He is behind everything. And whatever is coming to me, it is good because He is behind it. It may be bad now because I created that, but ultimately it's good because it's coming to correct me.
Hare Krishna, I'm appreciating how you made this comment that we're having trouble interacting with each other because we're all putting ourselves in the center. And it made me really appreciate the association of the devotee and the association of the Vaishnava, because the devotee is putting Krishna in the center. And when we also are putting Krishna in the center, it makes it so much easier to have those interpersonal relationships. And at the start of the evening, or at the start of the conversation, you were saying how enthusiasm, the devotee's enthusiasm inspires the other devotees to be enthusiastic, and how it was contagious. And I was thinking, well, it makes sense. Here's the why, is that we have this connection to Krishna that makes us capable of enthusing each other. So I just appreciated that full circle.
Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it's really a fact, you know, like without having, you know, some higher center in our relationships, you know, they're not really meaningful, not really sustainable either. It's different parts of the finite coming together about finite things. It's going to be a finite relationship. You know, that when we're you know, coming together in the interest of that higher center about the Lord Krishna, then that is mutually beneficial in every which way possible. Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts there, Leela. Anyone else want to share anything before we close the meeting for today? And by the way, welcome Sulalita, who also joined later. Suvasini, did you please share some words?
This verse, the Bayam Dutiya Binevesha, Sridhar Maharaj discusses it many places. It's so beautiful, isn't it? It's and in one place he said, like, you know, you have covered that already, you know, and said that, but I'm just repeating it. It's like, said everything belongs to the Lord, and we are included there also, you know, we are included there. And so is said, now regarding this separate interest, you know, we think that we have some separate interest and we are not included in the interest of Krishna. If we think we are not included there in his interest, then you know, think that, you know, have a separate interest. You have to look after yourself, and you are not, you know, included there. Then all these problems, you know, that is the root cause of all the problems, you know. So we start there. So yeah, he puts that like that in one place, and
yeah,
you know, it really, you know, I really like that, you know. Yeah,
right. When we can see that our interest is included in the Lord's interest. Yes.
yeah, like it's a guardian. Our guardian means who takes care of us, right? Guardian has our interest in heart, you know. So so that is, you know, when we completely understand, realize that, then there's no problem. Yeah.
Just having that that feeling, that awareness that we have a guardian.
Yeah.
What more? What more do we need? More
Yeah. Yeah, that feeling itself is so, so nice to have that feeling. Carefree it can be. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And if only we can live with that faith and that awareness, right, in every moment, in every situation that comes. Jai, very beautiful, Didi. Any last comments from our group, or should we close there for today? Julian says Jai, and we also have a comment from a nice comment from Govinda. All right, so maybe we'll close there for today. Thank you all so much for your good association. And I look forward to the next time. Yesterday was Govardhan Puja, and we also have coming up the day of departure of Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. I think is it Friday or Saturday? It's the 17th. Maybe Saturday.
Friday in Hawaii.
Friday.
Well, nice to see Govinda. Dhanavad.
It's tomorrow here.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It will be
Alright.
fasting until the noon.
I mean, actually, our Gurudev said it's not required to fast. In our temple, they would actually do that. They wouldn't serve breakfast on the disappearance days of the great Vaishnavas. But our Gurudev said that actually that wasn't his standard. He said we fast on days of Vishnu Tattva. So we fast until the time of the appearance of the Lord. So on Janmashtami, Krishna appears at midnight, so we're fasting till midnight. Gaur Purnima, Mahaprabhu appears around the time of moonrise, so we fast until that time. Ramachandra appears at noon, so we fast till noon. Radharani also, in her honor, she appears at noon, we fast till noon. But our Gurudev, a few times he mentioned, no, we don't need to fast. And in fact, it was like he mentioned one time how like Saraswati Thakur, it was like on the appearance day of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it was something he relished doing, like distributing prasadam, like in honor of his guru all day long, So, no, I mean, if someone wants to fast, that's fine, but it is really our tradition is on the days of Vishnu Tattva or Radha Tattva, we're fasting those days. So, okay. Well, I'm wishing, and we're still in Kartik. We're still in the month of Kartik, still in this special month, and we're very happily singing here every day these Kartik songs. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Sridhar Goswami Maharaj Jai Śaraṇāgati Ki Jai Shri A.C. Bhakti
Jai.
Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees, sincere Ki Jai. Shri Hari Nam Singh Ki Jai. 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 Gorpin. Haribo.
Shakadi
Thank you.
Jai. Thank you.
Thanks,
Shakadi.
Hare Krishna.